Thanks for joining us on Ball Fast Talk Straight on another edition of the prediction preview. We'll look at strengths, weaknesses of the teams playing today in the World T20. We've got South Africa against the West Indies first up. Then we've got a little bit of a grudge match. Pakistan against New Zealand later on this afternoon. But first up, South Africa against the West Indies. Well, both teams desperate for a win. Both had their tails firmly between their legs at the end of their first match. South Africa bowled a little bit better, and I don't think they were ever really going to cause an upset against Australia. I think they always looked as though they had enough in the tank to get themselves over the line, which was Australia. But the West Indies are desperate for a performance after the abject embarrassment, shambolic way they played and performed against England. So for me, it's a game where the winners, obviously carry on. The losers, that's it. Their tournament's over 2 games in. So I look at both sides. Both sides have got decent experience when it comes to playing 2020 cricket. I fancy South Africa. I really do. I've not fancied the West Indies at all throughout this tournament. I still think that going into the tournament, they didn't pick the correct side. And the game against England proved that. I think when you look at the South Africa's team as a whole, it's not one that they probably went over to the UAE with a great deal of confidence that they could win the tournament. But they have got a bowling attack in Nokia, Rabada, Shamsi, who will be licking his lips after seeing what happened with Adil Rashid and Moeen Ali in the first game when England beat the West Indies. But I think South Africa have got a bowling attack who will cause the West Indies problems. They've got pace, they've got spin options, and again, I think their team togetherness is a little bit better than what the West Indies is. So for me, I think that's why I predict the South Africans to go on and win the match. And so where do you go from 55 all out? Well, as Kieran Pollard said earlier in the week, you park it, you move on, and I think you go from experience, what they've got as a side. They will have to draw on every little bit to go into this match. But when you look at the West Indies side, what can they do? Don't expect South Africa to make a change. I think their team will be exactly the same as what it was before, classing in that middle order, Miller at 6, Pretoria at 7, giving them some strength and some all-rounders in that middle order. We might see Roston Chase play for the West Indies. The thing I was very critical of the West Indies was, even though South Africa got off to a bad start, 23 for 3 in the power play, they managed to give themselves a little bit of a score for their bowlers to bowl at, even though it was 118. West Indies did no such thing against England. It was plan here, which was try and hit the ball out the ground and then keep trying to do that. And when it wasn't working and there were 4 down, 5 down, they didn't try and sort of hang in there or potentially get themselves a score, because you never know in this game. And they fell by the wayside. So you might see a Roston Chase come into the middle order, which bolsters their batting. He's not somebody that of likes of Pooran or Hitzmaier, Pollard or Russell that's going to bang the ball out the ground. He will use pockets and areas and hopefully value his wicket a little bit more and hold that middle order together. And obviously he gives them a little bit more with the ball. So for me, like I said earlier, it's a story of 2 teams who desperately need a win after poor performances in game 1. Losers go home, because I think you can lose 1 game in the group stage and still qualify. But I think if the West Indies were to lose, especially with the net run rate that they've got now after what happened with England, then I think 2 games in, their tournament's over. So for me, the South Africa, I think, will just win this match. And I think that would be the end of the West Indies. And we move on. Here we go from Dubai, down the road to New Zealand versus Pakistan. And what can you say about this match? Well, there's be tension. The good thing about the India-Pakistan game was there might be tension in each other's countries, and the amount of rivalry there has been. I thought it was great to see some of the pictures and the videos of the two teams embracing each other at the end of the game, understanding that the common interest and the common thing that the things that they've got in common, is the fantastic cricket players, the professional sportsmen, and I thought that was really, really encouraging. Seeing pictures of Rizwan and Babar Azam talking with Virat Kohli, 3 or 4 of the Pakistan bowlers talking with Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So that was very, very encouraging, through that, what was a very, very difficult game for India, and arguably the complete performance by Pakistan. But when you look at grudges, and you talked about grudges, India, Pakistan, there's no bigger grudge now than what New Zealand did to the Pakistan nation by going home just before a tour had started while they were in the country. And I think I read something that Hassan Ali said just prior to the World T20. He said, I'm looking forward to the India game, but I'm looking forward to the New Zealand game even more because of what happened with their preparation. So Pakistan fired up. New Zealand, first game of the tournament. The balance of the New Zealand side will be interesting. They lost the warm-up game against England. Only got 150. Guptill got off to a good start, but their sort of 2, 3, 4, and 5 got blown away. And when you've got somebody like Shaheen Afridi at the top of the order, bowling at the top of the order, it's going to be very difficult for New Zealand. But you never know until a team plays. India and New Zealand will be wanting to get off to a fantastic start in the competition because they are a very, very good white ball side. Got into the World Cup 50 over final not long ago, 2019 at Lord's. But I just think Pakistan are going to have too much for them. It was the complete performance. And yes, a little bit like the West Indies talked earlier, you don't know what West Indies side's going to turn up. Wouldn't surprise you get 200 today against South Africa, but I'm very, very surprised if they do. And Pakistan of old, you'd think, right, they've got good ways of shooting themselves in the foot. They might get rolled over for not very many, but I don't see it with this Pakistan side. They seem as though they're well drilled. They're a very, very, very good machine, and they've been playing cricket in their own country in similar conditions and circumstances. So I just see Pakistan being too strong again. I think Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan at the top. Another 100-run partnership in that game against India. And like I said before, I did pick Afridi out at the start of the tournament as a standout bowler. I did believe that he is going to have a good tournament. And the ball he got, KL Rahul with, well, I remember growing up watching that 1992 World Cup final and seeing the Wasim Akram balls to Alan Lamb and Chris Lewis in the final. And the one that got rid of Chris Lewis, even though that was around the wicket, this one was over the wicket. The movement of the ball, the area that it pitched in, and the gap that he could get the ball between, which was so small. It was a fantastic delivery. And when you've got somebody like Afridi at the top of the, bowling at the top of the order, going hard and setting the tone, I just think Pakistan will have too much for New Zealand. So my prediction for today would be a South Africa win in the first game and a Pakistan win in the second game. So that's it. Enjoy today. Enjoy the game. We'll be back tomorrow for the England-Bangladesh game. And like I said many times before, like, subscribe, leave a review, and we'll get back to you with the comments. Oh, I've got a question here. Is this one of the best Pakistan sides that we've seen over the years? Possibly. Yeah, quite possibly. The one with Mushtaq Ahmed, Wasim Akram, Waqar Younis, Imran Khan that won 1992 World Cup was a proper side. If Pakistan win the T20 tournament, will they be considered then as the formidable team? Well, I think so. I really do. I think that side that won the 1992 World Cup was a fantastic side. Ramiz Raja, now the Pakistan cricket chairman, he looks as though he's got his direction and where he wants his team to go. and it looks as though they're going in a decent direction. They've got a good side. They started well. Just wonder, they might have to beat India again to win this tournament. What final that would be. If they do that, I think then you can safely say that they'll be, gone down as one of the best teams in the world. Who do you think will bat at number 3, Conway or Williamson? I think it'll be Kane Williamson. I really think it'll be Kane Williamson. I think you've got to bat your best player where he's most effective. I think Babar Azam is Pakistan's best player, and he's more effective going in first, along with Mohammad Rizwan. I think the India's best player is Virat Kohli, even though somebody had a ridiculous comment to Virat Kohli about dropping Rohit Sharma, which I'm with the Indian captain on that front. The other day, your best player for me is he bats where he's going to be most effective for his team. Virat Kohli's your best player, along with Rohit Sharma. Sharma's a fantastic opener. And I think Virat Kohli's a better number 3. And I think Dean Conway will have to bat at number 4 because New Zealand's best player is Kane Williamson. And that I expect to happen, where Gupta will go in first and Williamson will bat 3, Conway at 4. So thanks for joining us. Like I said before, like, subscribe, leave a review. We'll answer all the comments, and we'll be back tomorrow.